For those of you with an allegiance, your emotions go into the blender. For the rest of us, a game to savor. We're off and running at the Aviva.
My gosh, what a game that was. I stayed up obviously late over here in Australia to watch it just past midnight. And yeah, look, I didn't feel tired 1 second of that whole entire game. Is my prediction coming true? I did say before the Six Nations started, my prediction was France to win the tournament and Ireland not to win. I said there'll be a new champion. And at the moment, it's looking like my prediction may be coming true. But a lot can happen this last week. A lot can happen, but my prediction was France to win it. So it's going to be interesting. Brilliant. Brilliant rugby by both teams. I mean, the first half, it's just such a different whole atmosphere, the first half, where it was just grinding and you know, fighting for every inch, where the second half was so open, so free-flowing. And really that 40 to 60 minutes, I nearly feel like in this day and age, the games are won in the first 20 minutes of the half, where, you know, you win that first half, you win the first 20 minutes, you get a good start. And then the start of the second half, that's where it matters as well. Especially with Ireland and France. Ireland and France both obviously known to be very, very strong starters. I mean, you look at the Irish team there in that first 20 minutes, I think they had about 80% possession, something crazy, where they were camped, you know, in the French half pretty much the whole time. And then there was a lucky break, which was called back, where Dupont scored a very long-range try. But Ireland just didn't get the payoff. That's the only thing. They didn't get the points. They didn't get the try. And you kind of wonder sometimes, you know, because obviously they did try go for the corner a couple of times and they went for the points, missed the points, and so forth and so forth. But we'll go through all the events of the match today. We'll also go through the players who stood out, I think, and what it means for the implications of the rest of the Six Nations. Now, before we get into the video, if you do enjoy this sort of content, please hit the like button. It means a lot, helps to get it out there. And also hit the subscribe button. It's right below the video. Just click the button with your thumb or click on the mouse. Costs you nothing, but it helps support the channel, helps get the subscribers up, and it helps us make more content. So let's go. Ireland versus France. 42 points to 27 to France in what is a rout, to be honest. We'll go through the events here real quick, and then we'll talk about the rest of the match. So started off, like I said, the first 20 minutes, it was all Ireland. They got a penalty, went for the post, hit the post actually, and then that's what really released the pressure. Bielle-biarrey, first time France actually get down there. First time France get a sniff, and Dupont breaks off the back of a maul. They did have advantage. Dupont breaks off, just beats Omani, and then a perfect ball out to bielle-biarrey, who scores the try. And man, he's just a try-scoring machine, this fella. Absolute beast. And if you remember, I made a team with current players who would be the Northern Hemisphere versus Southern Hemisphere if they were to have a match. And I put bielle-biarrey on the wing. And a lot of people probably rightly said at the time, oh, what do you mean? Why would you start him? Blah, blah, blah. And look how that's paid off. He's brilliant. He's one of the best wingers in the world right now. He's just brilliant. Then we got Sam Prendergast getting the penalty in the 34th minute. The first payoff for the Irish, who were very dominant, very, very dominant for the first 25 minutes. Ramos getting the penalty back on a pretty weak one. And I forgot, Joe McCarthy with a very silly yellow card where there was a breakdown left wing, bielle-biarrey. And then pretty much bielle-biarrey could have looked back in the inside, but Joe McCarthy grabbed the player and pulled him back. Thomas Ramos it was, and got the yellow card. Just a stupid, penalty and a stupid yellow card, to be honest, just blatant, pretty obvious. And this day and age, they got all the angles, all the video, all that stuff. So you're going to get caught. So you might as well just not do it, to be honest. And then finish the half off with Prendergast getting a 50-meter penalty. He put everything into those legs of his and just cleared the post, making it 8 points to 6. And at this point, I'm like, Ireland fought back. They kept it close. we know the French, they make the most of the opportunities a lot. Obviously not against the English in that match, but they make the most of the opportunities, and where the Irish didn't in that first half. So a tale of two tapes, in my opinion. Second half starts off Sheehan scoring the try, coming off the back of the maul, scoring in the corner.
Ireland know what they're doing. Possession, so much access is from the line-out required, and the line-out delivers. And Ireland and Dan Sheehan have it at the back, and Sheehan scores!
You know, it's looking good here for the Irish. And then Nash gets a yellow card, yet again silly, but it is what it is. I think it's the head contact, the head-to-head, where he's just upright, straight head-to-head, yellow card. The head-to-head contact for me is a tough one because you can't really move your head, and you don't want to headbutt people. Like, no one goes into a tackle going, I'm going to headbutt this person. But, you know, it is the rules, and unfortunately, yep, yellow card for Nash. Then Budahent gets a beautiful try. Good payoff for him. Ramos converts. Bielle-biarrey with another brilliant try that he's down the left wing, does a grubber kick through, man, runs around everyone and scores the try. Also forgot to mention as well that as you can see down here, Dupont went off after about 28 minutes with a knee injury. Some people try to call it foul play. Some say it's play on. I think I'll go with the ref's decision. And he said no malicious intent, and I don't think there was. But if you do go, because at the end of the day, Tygburn, he just came in, cleared him out, and then the next motion was into his knee. So it's just unfortunate. And I know that World Rugby wants to protect Dupont, but unfortunately that's just an injury that happens to a lot of people. It happens in local club footy for our team all the time, where someone just falls into the knees. It's not on purpose. And if it is on purpose, I mean, they got all the camera footage, right? They can definitely charge him if need be. But yeah, that bielle-biarrey. So I think also when Dupont went off, I think, you know, I thought, oh, the Irish are probably going to do it here. But little did we forget that Maxime Lecou is a beautiful, like really good player. Really just plays the game with beauty, just reads it in front of him. He could have had that try with bielle-biarrey, second try, but Louis just beat him to the ball. He just wanted it more.
They arrive in numbers, and they've got players out wide. Peno's on one of those runs of his. Bielle-biarrey reaches to the sky, gathers and plays, and Prendergast goes after it, and bielle-biarrey!
Ramos converts, making it 22-13. Ramos a penalty as well. Then Jegu, this was the dagger in the heart right here. Jegu scoring a beautiful try, making it 32 points to 13. And at this point, you even hear the commentators go, yep, that's the dagger in the heart. And even you could see the Irish players, their head drops. Their head dropped. You know, it was like the wind was out the sails. Then Ramos gets another penalty. And then Peno scores a try at the end as well, making it 42 points to 13 with 6 minutes to go. Healy scores a try, and then Jack Conan scores again. That's 3 tries now for him in the Six Nations. Just a brilliant player, in my opinion, Jack Conan. Like I said, he's the impact player, but the impact was too late, unfortunately. Yeah, Cian Healy also getting a try there at the end. You know, brilliant for him, the most capped player ever in Irish rugby, but yeah, unfortunately, just wasn't meant to be. I tipped France to win by 1 point. I think 24-23, something like that. I said the final score will be. So a very high scoring game. France coming out way on top. Someone did comment as well. A couple of people commented on that video, the prediction video, that France could either win by 20 or win by 1, right? It's not in between. And they're right. They really did show up. They scored the tries they needed to, made the most of the opportunity. I mean, as you can see here, the whole front row and also Michael Guillard all played 48 minutes, Gregor Aldrit. So it baffles me, right? Because you always heard of the hate on Rusty Erasmus for having so many forwards on the bench. Like, how can you go 7-1 or blah, 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 blah. And look at this, a 6-2 for the Irish and a 7-1 for the French. So these commentators that go on about, you know, using the bench like that, and then it's fine when it happens in Six Nations. But I just don't understand the hate. If it's legal, they're allowed to do it. why the hate? And as you could see, it worked out for the French again, bringing on all those fresh forwards against the tiring pack for the Irish, who they kept on maybe a little bit too long. It really showed. That's where the game changed. You know, all those forwards came on in the 48th minute. Buddha Hint scored in the 46th, and then suddenly it was one-way traffic straight after that. So teams are realizing they can use this to their benefit, especially the grueling game that it was as well. But yeah, absolute brilliant game at the end of the day. Let's have a look at the statistics here. Carries, 141 to the Irish to 96, so way more carries, more possession. 14 turnovers lost for the Irish and 9 for the French. Territory, 53% for the Irish. Possession, possession the last 10 minutes, 87%. Possession, 58% for the Irish. And we've seen that more and more, and I've pointed it out every time, is that we remember back in 80s and 90s, right? Possession and territory, if you win that, 99% of the time you're going to win the game. But nowadays, it's nearly the opposite. I see more and more teams that don't have all the possession, that don't have all the territory, and they're winning matches. And I think it's just, rugby has become a sport where it's really become pinnacle moments, right? It's like an arrow point where it all leads into maybe 1 point for that whole 20 minutes, 1/4 of the game. That 1 point, you get that try from a long range try, you win that 20 minutes. The next one restarts again. It's like it's just pinnacle points that matter and can change the whole match. And I've noticed that more and more in recent times. It's not more of a spread out over the 80. It's now focal, big moments, big points. And that's what happens in these matches. Those big tries changes all the momentum. And then suddenly all the momentum's with them. Then you need a big point to change the momentum again. So at the end of the day, brilliant match. People stood out for me, I think, really, Francois Crowe. Man, brilliant game. Absolute beast. Definitely the forward of the match for me. Also, obviously, Louis bielle-biarrey, he got the player of the match. Brilliant by him as well. I think Moefana had a brilliant game as well, shutting down the midfield for the Irish. And he was just all over the shop. He was, left, right, and center. He was over there, and just brilliant. Penaud also had a pretty good game, and Ramos safe as anything. Now for the Irish, I think Hugo Keenan was brilliant. Made a couple breaks, made the most of his opportunities. His defense was solid. Just unfortunately didn't have anyone else around him, right? Then Caelan Doris was the best Irish player from the underfield. Brilliant. He came off for a little bit, went back on again, and just carried. He won a couple of turnovers. He was making a nuisance of himself in the ruck, which is slowing up the ball. So he was just brilliant for me. And obviously a player who had a very tough match was young Sam Prendergast. Just looked a little bit over his head, tried to force it. A lot of times he had the opportunity to run and he just didn't run. He's rather looking to pass instead of just taking the line on. And that really showed in that last try, the intercept try there from the French, where Prendergast, if he probably ran, he would have probably made the try line, to be honest, because there was a fat forward on his inside. If he just pushed for that gap, and then the rush defender will probably run past him, and then he's either got the offload or he's straight through. But instead, Ramos knew he was going to pass it, so he just sprinted up, intercepted the ball, gave it off to Penaud, and Penaud ran off and scored a brilliant try. And there was another time, I think, even in the own half, Prendergast came perfectly. Like he runs those lines really well, though, the backdoor lines. Ran it really well. And there was only one French defender, and it kind of looked like he was in 3 or 4 minds because he had 3 people outside him, 1 in front of him. The tough thing was that he didn't draw that person in. He kind of indecisive, and by the time that he looked, someone was right there, tried to fend, and he ended up knocking on the ball. And I think that was a momentum shift right there because they had space, they had the men, and he just didn't give it, and he just didn't make a decision. He also kicked a lot of ball away as well. But at the end of the day, he's a young player. This was probably his biggest match to date, possibly. So I think he's only going to grow from here, and only time will tell. You could have gone maybe with Jack Crowley here, being a bigger game, someone a little bit more experienced, but obviously they've given the Rolls-Royce keys to Prendergast, and he's shown his brilliance. So I think he's just going to get better with experience. And I guess the best thing to do is stick with him, right? It's really shown off. You look at all the coaches around the world, They keep their trust in their team this day and age. It's not like you have a bad game and you get dropped. They really stick with their players this day and age, which is great for the players. But look, I'll end it on that. My prediction, I guessed the right team, just not the right amount of points. But like I said, also before the Six Nations started, my prediction was France to win the Six Nations and Ireland not to win it. I said there will be a new champion. And at the moment, it's looking like it will be. Because if England win with a bonus point, let's have a quick look at the table here on the Six Nations. Because I think if England win with a bonus point, they're going to be second. So if England win with a bonus point against Italy, they'll be on 15, they'll be second. And it'll be hard for the Irish to go from there, because that means that England will not have to win with a bonus point against Wales, and France just has to win against Scotland, really, to win the championship. So it's going to be interesting. Last week, it comes down to it. The three-headed monster depends yet again if England's going to win. I think there might be a sneaky upset, possibly by Italy, in my honest opinion. I think maybe the English are looking past Italy. They know that they need to win this game with a bonus point. Otherwise, they're out of it. So it's interesting. Very interesting for me. But I'll end it on that. Like the video if you liked it. And thank you for watching. And hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you on the next video.